In this week's news, online evangelism reaches millions. Hillsong goes to the movies. And could this be Jesus' boyhood home in Nazareth?
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
Evangelist Billy Graham may be 96 years old, but the organisation he founded is at the cutting edge of online mission efforts. Last year, according to Christianity Today, the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association reached nearly 9.5 million people through its websites. 1.5 million of those people indicated they'd accepted Jesus as their saviour after interacting with the website content. But critics point out that although the numbers are large, less than 10% of those who make decisions for Christ online indicate an interest in contacting a church or other discipleship activities. Follow-through is especially challenging for new believers wanting to stay anonymous in countries where Christians face hostility from governments or communities. Moves to repeal controversial anti-protest laws in Victoria have met with a range of responses from international, religious and community groups. Introduced by the previous Liberal Napthine government, the Move On laws prevented protesters from blocking access to buildings and allowed authorities to ban troublemakers from certain areas for up to a year. According to the Herald Sun, the current Labour Attorney General, Martin Pakula, said the laws are excessive and draconian and a limit on the rights of Victorians to free expression and free association. The United Nations has welcomed the proposal to shelve the Move On laws, but others have expressed concerns that militant trade unions, anti-Israel business blockades and abortion clinic protesters will find it easier to disrupt legitimate activities.
Christians ought to be concerned to see free speech protected where you've got lawful discussions happening on a footpath, which is a proper reflection of our freedom of expression. If there's a blockade and people are literally not making way for people to pass through, then that would be a breach of the peace in my view.
A new movie about Australian megachurch Hillsong has run into trouble with its distributor Warner Brothers and will have its release date delayed by 2 months. According to Variety, negotiations broke down over who would have the rights to the documentary film and associated music, leading Warner Brothers to pull out of the deal. The movie, which focuses on the Hillsong United band and tells the story of a small Sydney church which became a global Christian network, is titled Let Hope Rise. The film is now due for release through Relativity Media on the 29th of May. A sugar tax is one solution being hinted at by global health authorities worried about worldwide epidemics of obesity, diabetes and tooth decay. New guidelines from the World Health Organization recommends that less than 5% of daily energy needs should come from simple sugars. In the firing line are processed foods with added sugar, syrups and sweet drinks, including fruit juices. But naturally occurring sugars in whole fruits and vegetables are okay, says the WHO.
So the natural sugar that occurs in the fruits and vegetables is fine, but when we process it and all we get is the sugar, then it becomes bad for us. God created the food as a package to give us nutrient. When we process it, we're changing that packaging. That's not how God intended the food to be eaten.
New figures show that the Seventhday Adventist Church remains one of the world's fastest growing faith groups, with a total number of baptised members fast approaching 18.5 million. 2014 saw more than 1 million new members make a commitment to Christ and 2,400 new Adventist churches open, an average of 47 churches per week. Adventist world leaders praised God as they welcomed the evidence of growth and paid tribute to the mission spirit of pastors, church planters and congregations. But they also asked church members not to forget those areas of the world, such as Australia and New Zealand, where evangelism is difficult and growth is slow. Archaeologists say the well-preserved remains of a Jewish home in Nazareth could well have been where Jesus grew up. For some years, Dr. Ken Dark from the UK's University of Reading has been investigating a stone house partially cut into a hillside that is now in the cellar of a Catholic convent. The convent also contains the remains of a Byzantine church that closely matches 7th century descriptions of the Church of the Nutrition built over the Nazareth home of Joseph and Mary. Dr. Dark says he can't be certain that this was indeed Jesus' home, but there's considerable evidence that Christians living 1400 years ago believed it was. If you're after some creative fundraising ideas, look no further than Ballymoney in Northern Ireland, where a couple of laps around town with a bathtub netted more than £1,000. David and Irene Dickey don't have a lot of church support. They're the only two Adventists in town, but they are passionate about the British Heart Foundation after David's successful heart surgery a few years ago. According to BUC News, members of the public took turns at pushing the bathtub full of balloons through the streets, starting with Ballymoney's mayor. David and Irene gave out balloons and asked for donations. Despite the wintry conditions, there was a lot of public support and some cold, hard cash in the red donation buckets.